This is BRICS Global Television Network's weekly roundup. We begin with the headlines. India's elections enter phase 2. Brazil and China battered by heavy rains. Should South Africa increase nuclear energy? And South Africa's Rose of Soweto has died. Hello, I'm Juliet Newell. We begin in India, where the country's mammoth election process has entered its crucial phase 2. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his political adversaries are ramping up their campaigns, focusing on contentious issues ranging from religious discrimination to economic policies. With over 160 million citizens across 13 states and federal territories exercising their democratic right, there's been intense campaigning for 88 parliamentary seats out of the total 543 in the lower house of parliament. Modi's campaign is focusing on his economic record, welfare measures, national pride, Hindu nationalism and personal popularity. Meanwhile, his opponents are pledging greater affirmative action, increased welfare benefits and an end to what they perceive as Modi's authoritarian rule. BGTN's Yolanda Pondo has more.
The election has been marked by heated exchanges between Modi and the Congress Party on communal issues, with both sides accusing each other of various wrongdoings. Contentious topics such as religious discrimination, affirmative action and taxes have dominated the political discourse, reflecting their diverse and complex challenges facing India's electorate. Notably, voter turnout in the first round of voting dropped nearly 4 points to 66% compared to the previous election in 2019, raising concerns about the impact of unseasonably hot weather on voter participation. This decline underscores the significance of mobilizing voters and addressing their concerns amidst challenging environmental conditions. As campaigning intensifies, political tensions are reaching a crescendo, with Modi and his opponents vying for the support of India's diverse electorate. The outcome of phase 2 will play a crucial role in shaping the political landscape of the world's largest democracy, with implications that extend far beyond India's borders. The elections, spanning from April 19 to June 1st, will culminate in the tallying of votes on June 4th. Yolanda Pondo, BGTN, Johannesburg, South Africa.
Meanwhile, as millions of voters flock to polling stations across India, their commitment to making their mark is being tested due to extreme weather conditions. In the southern state of Kerala, temperatures have soared to well over 40 degrees Celsius as a heat wave bears down on the area. 2 people have died from suspected heat stroke. In the eastern parts of the country, temperatures have touched close to 45 degrees Celsius, a record high for April. 2 people have reportedly died in the Odisha region too. The high temperatures have been recorded more than 5 degrees hotter than normal for this time of year. Scientists are blaming climate change. And there's more to come. More scorching temperatures are expected in the weeks ahead as the monsoon season approaches. In South Africa, as the country celebrates the 30th anniversary of the country's democratic elections, President Cyril Ramaphosa has reminded South Africans what's been achieved since the dawn of democracy in 1994. In his weekly From the Desk of the President letter, Ramaphosa said every South African's journey towards nationhood remains critical, no matter what race they are. He's highlighted the importance of this, especially during times of difficulty. He's called on the country to resist the temptation of retreating into lagers of ethnicity and race, and rather acknowledge feelings of marginalization and address them. BGTN's Kaka Ngofe reports.
President Cyril Ramaphosa has reminded the country that the 27th of April 1994 was the day the country turned its back on apartheid. Beyond the great wrong that was apartheid, it was a system designed to deny people their dignity. He described apartheid as a national humiliation and degradation that ranged from bureaucratic pettiness like white-only benches, restaurants and beaches, to the brute force that saw families torn apart and forcibly removed from their houses and land. It was a time when people were tortured, imprisoned, exiled and killed. the so-called solution of separate development resulted in nothing but underdevelopment for the country's majority. He added, the democratic breakthrough of 1994 began the restoration of the dignity of black South Africans that had been denied and systematically eroded, first by colonialism, then by apartheid. As the country celebrates Freedom Month, Ramaphosa says it's time to remind South Africans that despite the many challenges our country continues to experience, not at the least of all the crisis of unemployment, South Africans are pioneering, resourceful and resilient, often in the face of great odds. He, however, conceded that despite 30 years of democracy, the country is not as far as South Africans hoped it would be by now, despite doing a lot to undo the devastating legacy of apartheid and confronting other challenges both from beyond our borders, such as the global financial crisis and here at home. He said that while these and other challenges have had an impact on rebuilding the country, they've also shown the resilience of the South African people and the resolve to move forward with optimism. Kaga Ngofe, BGTN, Johannesburg, South Africa.
To China, where heavy rains continue to wreak havoc and destruction in the Guangdong province. The densely populated region has been battered by rainstorms in recent weeks, leading to flooding and landslides. A tornado also struck the area, claiming 5 lives and tearing through at least 140 buildings. A bridge between Meju City and Dabu County collapsed on Wednesday, trapping 20 vehicles. The death toll stands at 36, but is expected to rise as search and rescue teams work through the debris. Authorities say the heavy rains are to blame for the collapse. Experts blame climate change for the unusual weather patterns. Meanwhile, in Brazil, 10 people have been reported dead and 21 missing following heavy rains in Rio Grande do Sul state. Over 1,400 people have been displaced across more than 100 municipalities, with many relocated to shelters. More heavy rains have been forecast, further hampering search and rescue efforts. The downpours have destroyed bridges, blocked roads and isolated communities, while access to 20 areas along state highways is restricted due to collapse risks. Around 130,000 people lack drinking water, with communication services disrupted in 60 municipalities. In Ethiopia, the humanitarian crisis is deepening as the country deals with high levels of food instability and conflict in some areas. A recent report released by the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs reveals just how dire the situation is, with thousands of women and children in desperate need of broad humanitarian support to survive. Our BGTN correspondent in Ethiopia, Henok Tesfaye, filed this report.
In the latest humanitarian update, OCHA reported that nearly 50,000 people have been displaced from the rural towns of Alamata to the neighboring Amhara district of Kobo of North Wollo zone and Sakota town of Waghimra zone due to escalating violence in recent days. According to Dr. Mulalem Tagenyork, public relations head at Ethiopian Citizens for Social Justice, EZEMA, the cause of the conflict has a wider perspective rooted in the country's administration system.
From the view of EZEMA, we don't believe that there is a border between two regional states. It's just an administration landmark to have a better service for the community. And actually from our origin, we believe that our rearrangement of the federal regional states, these regional states have a problem with how they are organized. So the root cause for the conflict is the way they are organized.
When the cessation of hostilities agreement was signed between the federal government and Tigray People's Liberation Front in October 2022, it brought about peace in the region. However, Dr. Mulalem believes the recent violence stems from the failure to fully implement the Pretoria Agreement.
It was against the Pretoria Agreement, which is clearly announced that first disarmament was the first process and DDR should be implemented before any process, but that cannot happen. And one of the problems is the federal government, because respecting and making to happen this agreement, the Pretoria Agreement, was the responsibility of the federal government also. So the federal government first didn't accomplish its tasks according to the agreement, and also TPLF doesn't respect the agreement. That's, we can say in a short way, that's the root cause for the clash that erupted last week.
Expressing his sadness over the recurrent humanitarian violence in the area, Dr. Mulalam reiterated that allowing political parties to hold armaments would intensify the problem and has to be halted.
We're very sad that this thing to happen again. Almost we can say this is the first time that TPLF creates such a chaos in the region. We believe that unless and otherwise, the TPLF squad, this who is armed, is existing in that area, we believe that the conflict will continue because as it's clearly known that the only responsible to have such kind of armaments is the federal government.
Despite Ethiopia's implementation of ethnic federalism, which some view as divisive, Dr. Mulalam emphasized the need to respect citizens' right to live and work across regions.
The Constitution supports us, any civilians, to live everywhere. Regarding who administers the place, that needs the rule of law, how administrators are going to be elected. And also, by the Constitution, people have the right to choose their administrator and also to have a referendum. That's also one of the possibilities. So I believe that even the law, other laws are not supporting of whatever you have a place to claim or a border or a demarcation, you should go through a peaceful process to get whatever you want.
As tension continued to rise along the borders of Tigray and Amhara, the plight of displaced civilians worsens. With no immediate resolution in sight, the international community remains vigilant in its effort to provide aid and support to those affected by the conflict. Henok Tasfaye, BGTN, Addis Ababa, Ethiopia.
Coming up, BRICS business. But first, a look at what you can look forward to coming to BRICS Global Television Network soon.
On three. Let's go. Right hand on three for Supra.
Gangster Museum and Township Tours takes us on a transformative journey alongside reformed gangsters, showcasing the remarkable evolution from purveyors of drugs and violence to architects of captivating tourist attraction.
We are primarily focused on alleviating gangsterism, so we take people around the townships.
Saudi Arabia has made great strides as it moves towards its Vision 2030. The country is way ahead of schedule in generating power due to its mix of energy resources. BRICS Plus country South Africa is at the other end of the scale, however, and has seen constant load shedding. Enter nuclear power. It's being seen as a cheap and effective solution to the country's power problems. Ray White spoke to the chairperson of Stratic Global, Dr. Calvin Kem, and asked him about the proposed small modular reactor.
Dr. Calvin Kem, thank you for joining us and taking the time today. Now, you are working on all things nuclear, talking about a small modular nuclear reactor. What's that all about?
It is a small modular reactor, and small means less than 300 megawatts electricity. That's by International Atomic Energy Agency definition. The modular means that you can make most of it in a factory, so you have all the advantages of the quality control and that indoors, and you don't have to go welding out on site and so on. So you deliver these things and then just click them all together, so to speak. and of course the R for reactor, nuclear reactor. And they're great because you can put the small reactors all over the place rather than having only one central power station. Not that you shouldn't have a big nuclear power station as well, that you should do as well. But in addition, you can put these small modular reactors all over the place, and it's a huge advantage.
Now, there is the question of safety. We've seen what happened in Japan. There was that massive tsunami that came along and hit the Fukushima nuclear power plant, and there was all sorts of contamination after that. People are going to wonder, they're going to worry about safety. How safe are your small modular nuclear reactors?
Absolutely, safety is one of the first things that springs to people's mind. And you mentioned Fukushima. Now, I've said around the world, and it's been quoted, that Fukushima was not a nuclear accident, and everybody raises their eyebrows. Total number of people killed at Fukushima was 0. Total number of people injured by nuclear radiation, 0. Total private property harm by 0. So it wasn't a nuclear accident, it was a conventional industrial accident.
So things have then changed since the days of Chernobyl, and you saw what happened there. Temperatures went through the roof, there was that massive explosion, and it was this international disaster. But things have changed, haven't they?
Yes, in the case of Chernobyl, it had been built on some poor principles, and that was the main fault. That when things started to overheat, they went wild, so to speak. There was also a management problem in Chernobyl, that they were doing an experiment which was supposed to be done during the daytime when the A team was on duty, but in fact it was delayed, and they ended up doing it late at night with the B team on duty. And when things started to go wrong, people were too scared to call the boss who was home in bed, and he in turn eventually when they called him was too scared to call Moscow to tell them. So it was quite a delay in responding. And there were a number of other issues like that caused Chernobyl to do what it did, which is sad. But now that you mentioned, it was the only nuclear reactor incident in history in which people were killed by nuclear radiation, never any other time.
And of course, like you said, things are a little bit different now. You don't use seawater to cool things down.
Our reactor has got no water cooling involved, so we do not have to put it near the ocean. We can put it wherever the customer wants. It is cooled with helium gas. Now, even if the helium gas was to leak out, helium cannot become radioactive. It's chemically inert. You can breathe it in without any trouble. It's the gas that children have in their balloons when they get them from the supermarket. And at worst, it's hot when it comes out. You just get away from the heat and you leave it alone. So we don't have any of this water problem, and we don't need water to site it. We can put the reactor wherever you like. So a gold mining complex in a dry area in South Africa or anywhere in Africa, you can put it there, or at any industrial complex which has been built in an industrial area without the ocean or any major lake. So that's why we did it.
Dr. Kelvin Kem, who's the chairperson of Stratec Global, thank you so much for taking the time to chat to us today. And I think I can speak for everyone. We look forward to keeping the lights on once and for all, not only in South Africa, but in all BRICS countries and of course around the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this. It was wonderful to have the opportunity to chat about our wonderful project.
In China, Tesla CEO Elon Musk has visited Beijing to seek approval for deploying Tesla's full self-driving FSD service in China, a vital market for the company's global expansion. With Tesla's autonomous driving technology not yet available in China, Musk's lobbying efforts emphasize the strategic importance of gaining regulatory approval. Ongoing discussions with Chinese authorities focuses on addressing concerns about data security, proposing to transfer data collected in China abroad for training FSD algorithms. Musk's visit coincides with renewed scrutiny of Tesla's autonomous driving modes after US reports of crashes raising safety questions. It's also a response to the competition from Chinese electrical vehicle startups, with Musk positioning FSD as a key differentiator for Tesla. Recent announcements suggest progress towards FSD approval in China, potentially easing regulatory hurdles. Observers are closely monitoring Musk's visit for its implications on the future of autonomous driving and Tesla's position in the critical Chinese automotive market. In just a bit, BRICS sports news, but first a sneak peek of what's coming to BGTN soon. The Kruger National Park, an area of beauty, the custodian of most of Africa's rhino population, a park of breathtaking nature, but also an area of horror.
What was their intention?
Please help us.
More and more people are taking the law into their own hands.
We begin with some sad news from South Africa. One of the country's most loved boxing stars, Dingaan Thobela, has passed away. Known as the Rose of Soweto, the 57-year-old was found unresponsive at his apartment in Mayfair on Monday. BGTN's Ben Rikotso remembers the legend.
Dingaan the Rose of Soweto Thobela, who was known as Bongani Mahlangu until the age of 18. Grew up in one of South Africa's biggest townships, Soweto. Dingaan announced himself in the scene of boxing as the champion in 1990 when he won the WBO championship when he defeated the Mexican, Mauricio Aceves. One will remember Dingaan. One of the best fights that Dingaan had was when he fought against Tony Lopez, not once but twice. In his first attempt in America, Dingaan Thobela lost the fight, in which most boxing lovers and those who loved Dingaan Thobela thought Dingaan Thobela was robbed. In 1993, they had to do it again, but here in South Africa, where Dingaan Thobela defeated the Tiger, Tony Lopez. Dingaan will always be remembered for his uppercut. That was his signature punch in the boxing ring. And some people look at him as one of the best naturally talented boxer of his time. People like Brian Mitchell, we thought maybe one day we'll see Dingaan Thobela fighting Brian Mitchell, but that never happened because most boxers and those who love boxing thought that will end either's career. BGTN will always remember Dingaan Thobela as one of the best pugilists. Ben Rikotso, BGTN, Johannesburg, South Africa.
In Brazil, soccer great Ronaldo is selling his majority stake in Cruzeiro. He was just 16 years old when he made his professional debut at the club in 1993. In 2021, he acquired a 90% stake in Cruzeiro for a sum of $70 million. BGTN's Brazil correspondent, Chris Goldenbaum, has that story.
Brazilian football is going through significant changes. Ronaldo has earned the nickname The Phenomenon for his incredible skills and goal-scoring prowess. In 2020, Ronaldo shocked the football world when he announced suddenly that he was buying his very first professional team, Cruzeiro. Buying teams is a relatively new practice in Brazilian football. It all started with the approval of the SAF, the Anonymous Society of Football. This regulation allows teams to become public entities. Cruzeiro plays the national championship, the top tier of the Brazilian Football League system. But Although they've won 2 national championships, the team was in deep crisis. Ever since Ronaldo took over, the previously underperforming team has been reborn and is now making a strong push to regain its champion status. This week, Ronaldo announced he was reselling the club. Ronaldo is said to have earned over double the amount he originally invested. The hope is that by strengthening the Brazilian clubs, more talented players like Ronaldo will emerge in the future. This could have a positive impact on Brazilian football and help players to compete at a higher level on the international stage. As Brazil aims to bolster its football prowess, a new generation of talents is emerging. However, these young talents are being exported to Europe at a young age. With this new business model, however, teams are hoping to hold on to them for longer and strengthen the local league. Chris Goldenbaum, BGTN, São Paulo, Brazil.
The World Pool Championship set to kick off in Saudi Arabia with record prize money. Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, the reigning World 9-Ball Tour WNT #1, is gearing up to defend his world title at this year's World Pool Championship, signalling the start of a groundbreaking 10-year partnership in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Scheduled to take place at the Green Halls, Jeddah, from June the 3rd to the 8th, the championship, in collaboration with the Saudi Arabian Billiard and Snooker Federation and the Saudi Arabian Ministry of Sport, promises an intense showdown among 128 elite cueists. The event boasts a historic prize fund of $1 million, with the winner pocketing $250,000, both unprecedented amounts on the WNT circuit. Joining Sanchez Ruiz on renowned players like 5-time US Open champion Shane van Boening and 2018 world champion Joshua Filler, ensuring fierce competition for the coveted title. The field will comprise the top 100 WNT ranked players with 28 wildcard entries, including 10 from the host nation, Saudi Arabia. The cutoff for the top 100 will be determined after the UK Open from May the 7th to the 12th. The partnership signifies Saudi Arabia's emergence as a hub for global sports events, aligning with its Vision 2030 initiative. Over 100 international sports events have been hosted since 2015, attracting over 2.6 million sports enthusiasts. The kingdom has tripled its official sports federation to 97 and witnessed a 150% increase in female sports participation since 2015. The 10-year deal marks a significant step towards fostering sporting excellence and global participation, promising a thrilling journey for pool enthusiasts in the kingdom and beyond. And finally, we've been asking people about BRICS. Questions like, who are the member countries and what do BRICS countries do? Some answers will surprise you, some will impress you, and then, well, let's just say, others will entertain you. BRICS on the Streets, coming right up.
It's South Africa. Yeah, South Africa.
Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa.
South Africa. What else? BRICS. It's China, Korea. No, it's only South Africa.
African countries. It's South Africa.
Is that all?
Yeah, it's only South Africa.
Currently, South Africa. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Yeah, that's South Africa for now.
South Africa.
Is that all of them?
Yes, it's the only one.
South Africa and India.
And that's it for this week. Until next time, keep up to date with BRICS news on our website and social media.